The fluorescent lights buzzed quietly above the checkout lanes, casting a pale glow over a grocery store that had seen better days. It was just another Tuesday afternoon. Slow, uneventful. The kind of shift where minutes drag into hours. Behind Register 3, a young woman stood in her faded uniform, shoulders slouched, her hands trembling slightly as she scanned items. Her name tag read, Emily. She was good at hiding it most days. The forced smiles, the polite, "How are you today?" that came out rehearsed and mechanical, but that afternoon, her mask cracked. She blinked hard, fighting back tears, her lips quivering as she tried to keep her voice steady. The customer in front of her barely noticed, too busy with their phone. Emily sniffled, wiped her cheek quickly, and whispered under her breath words she didn't realize someone important was about to hear. "I can't do this anymore. I just can't." At the end of the frozen food aisle, a man in a worn baseball cap and a simple jacket pretended to browse. To everyone else, he looked like just another shopper. But in truth, he wasn't here for milk or bread. He was here to watch. He was the CEO of the entire supermarket chain, walking undercover through one of his own stores. He had launched the Undercover program months ago, hoping to understand the struggles of his employees, the people who, day in and day out, kept his company alive. But he hadn't expected to stumble into this moment. When he heard Emily's quiet sob, his heart sank. He walked closer, his basket empty, just in time to catch the sound of her whisper. He pretended to line up at her register. Emily glanced up, eyes red and watery, but she still managed a faint, practiced smile. "Hello, sir. Did you find everything okay?" Her voice cracked halfway through. The man nodded, placing a single bottle of water on the conveyor. "I did. Thank you." He studied her carefully, noticing the tremble in her hands as she scanned the barcode. Then, something happened that made his stomach turn. The manager on duty, a stern man with a permanent frown, stormed past the register, glaring at Emily. "Pick it up, Emily," he snapped. "We don't have time for you to daydream. Customers are waiting." Emily's cheeks flushed. She whispered an apology, her eyes darting down in shame. The CEO's jaw tightened. He wanted to say something right then, but he held back. This was her story. He needed to know more. So after checking out, he stepped aside, pretending to adjust his receipt, listening. And that's when he heard it. The one thing no boss, no human being, should ever have to hear from an employee. Emily, wiping her tears, whispered to herself, almost inaudible, "I wish I could just disappear. Nobody would even notice if I was gone." The CEO froze. His chest tightened as if the air had been knocked out of him. Those weren't just words of frustration. Those were words of someone on the edge. Someone carrying far more than any paycheck could ever fix. That night, after the store closed, he stayed behind. Quietly. He asked the night manager if Emily could join him for a quick customer service feedback session. Confused but obedient, the manager called her in. Emily walked into the empty break room. Her uniform wrinkled, her eyes heavy with exhaustion. The CEO, still in disguise, sat across from her at the metal table. "Emily," he began softly, "you've been through a lot today, haven't you?" She forced a nervous laugh. "It's nothing, sir. Just long hours. You know how it is." But he didn't smile. "No, I don't think it's nothing. I heard what you said at the register." Her face went pale. She swallowed hard, embarrassment flooding her. "I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean." "You don't need to apologize," he interrupted gently. "But I need to know what's really going on." For the first time in months, Emily let herself speak the truth. The words tumbled out of her like water breaking through a dam. She told him about her mother's medical bills piling up, about the 2 extra jobs she was juggling just to keep food on the table, about the nights she barely slept because she was studying to finish her degree online. And then her voice cracked as she confessed the part that hurt the most. No matter how hard I work, it feels like I'm invisible here. Like I don't matter. And sometimes I wonder, what's the point of going on if no one would even notice I'm gone? The room went silent. The CEO's eyes burned with tears he couldn't hide. For a long moment, he couldn't speak. He could only reach across the table and place his hand gently over hers. "Emily," he said firmly, his voice breaking, "you matter more than you know. And I promise you, from this day forward, things are going to change." Emily looked at him, confused. And then, in a moment that would change her life forever, he removed his cap. Slowly, carefully, he revealed who he truly was. Her eyes widened. "Wait, you're—" "Yes," he nodded. "I'm your boss. The one who should have seen your struggle long before today. And I'm sorry, Emily. Truly sorry." She covered her mouth, stunned, tears spilling freely now. The next morning, the entire staff gathered in the store. The CEO stood at the front, no longer undercover, his voice carrying through the aisles. He spoke about the value of every employee, about the need for kindness, compassion, and dignity in the workplace. And then he turned to Emily. Emily has been carrying more than any one person should ever have to carry. And starting today, that changes. Effective immediately, her mother's medical bills will be covered by our company's foundation. Emily will receive a full scholarship to finish her degree. And as for her position here, she is being promoted into our corporate training program, where her talents will shine the way they were always meant to. Gasps echoed through the crowd. Emily's knees buckled, and she covered her face, sobbing. Not out of despair this time, but out of relief. The store erupted in applause. Even the manager who had barked at her the day before stood frozen, speechless. That moment, in the middle of an ordinary grocery store, something extraordinary happened. One act of kindness, one decision to see a struggling soul, shifted the course of a life forever. And Emily, she would go on to thrive. She finished her degree, rose through the company, and later became a director of employee care, ensuring that no worker under her watch ever felt invisible again. Because sometimes, the smallest whispers of despair are cries for help that can change everything, if only someone listens. So remember, this kindness costs nothing, but it can mean everything. And if this story touched you, take a moment to share it. And don't forget to subscribe, because the world needs more stories of kindness.